All right, it is 5 o'clock, and I'll call the Bastrop EDC to order, and Bastrop EDC reserves the right to convene an executive session at any time during the meeting regarding any agenda item in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Government Code. Do we have any public comments? Not appearing. All right, number 3. First of all, I'd like to welcome our 2 new board members, Jeff Halladina and Pat Crawford. Welcome. Yeah. And of course, I'd like to recognize our 2 outgoing board members, our chair, Cam Chavez, and Drusilla.
Kevin, if you don't mind, I'd like to say a couple of words. One, and I made this comment on the dais, and I would be remiss. It's really important for folks to understand the only reason that Cam is not being reappointed is because not only is he, in my opinion, the best chair BEDC has ever had, he is also the very best son-in-law that exists in the world. And so because of nepotism, I was not able to reappoint him to the board. I think it's important for folks to understand I have been asked by people on this board, I have been asked by council members, and I have been asked by the public, can't you make an exception? Isn't there any way? I am not willing to give him up as a son-in-law for him to be able to serve on BEDC, so my answer was absolutely not. But Cam brought so much to this board, and he has been a fantastic board member, and I'd just like to have a round of applause for him. Drusilla has also been an excellent board member. There are very few people that live in Bastrop that have owned and run a successful small business for over 20 years. And since she's only 25, that makes it extremely impressive. But seriously, there's nothing harder in this world than running a small business. And to do it successfully in a small town through the economic ups and downs, Drusilla has done a fantastic job on this board. She is excellent at asking the right question at the right time. We're going to miss her on the board, but one of the things that we've dealt with on this board before was having too much influence of city council. And so the pendulum, the way we landed in the middle was I had a council that asked me to serve on BEDC, so the council was represented. But to be true to that, since Ms. Rogers was successfully elected in May as a city council member, that's the only reason she is not being reappointed to the board. So they are 2 fantastic board members. They're going to be missed, and I know that both of them will be asked to serve again on this board. It won't be surprised if they are asked to serve on a number of boards. So just truly so very thankful to both of them. Thank you. And since we went so quickly, I want to go back to welcome Jeff. We're thrilled to have you on the board. He has extensive financial experience with UBS, and that's priceless. And notice that he's sitting by Sam so they can have the financial mind melt together, so we're glad for that. And Ms. Crawford, some of you may have read, she was one of the original charter members. Our EDC has not existed forever. It's it's been a fairly short time, and Pat was a part of that original board. We've had conversations before about the importance of history. We don't want to go back and reenact every historical thing, but there is a value to institutional knowledge of knowing how we got to where we are that's quite frankly is just quite priceless. So I was very, very pleased that Pat agreed to serve, and just really want to welcome both of them to the board. It's a great group of people. I think we've got the city and the community's best interest. We have a very unique charge with the legislative requirements of EDC, and thankfully with our new executive director and with our staff, it helps keep this board focused on that very important, crucial thing, which is economic development for the city of Bastrop. So Jeff and Pat, welcome.
All right. Now on to 3.3. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on the election of 1819 BEDC officers. Let's see. Do we want to go secretary treasurer? Okay. How about chair first? Do we have any nominations for chair?
I'd like to nominate Catherine.
I'm going to second that.
All right. We have Catherine as a nomination. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations. All right, and vice chair?
I nominate Kevin.
Second.
Okay. Feel a little weird there. No. Any other nominations? All right, all in favor? Opposed? All right, I will be the continuing vice chair and secretary treasurer.
Nominate Sam.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have our slate. 3.4, approval of meeting minutes for EDC regular board meeting September 17th, 2018.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Minutes are approved. 3.5, consideration, discussion, and possible action on board meeting schedule for 2018-2019, including date and or time of meetings. All right, I believe we have in the packet. Yes. Anybody have any issues with, I guess, keeping our regular meeting time the way it is? Any issues?
I think you have us blocked out. Yeah, you can make it where they can't talk. It's awesome. So the schedule's in our packet, but not in the PowerPoint is, I think, yeah.
Page 9.
And what I noticed was the January and February fall on holidays, so it's not the third Monday, it's the fourth Monday. And everything else seemed pretty standard from my recollection. Am I on the right page?
Thanksgiving as well. Thanksgiving week, we fall on that Monday of Thanksgiving week. So we are asking you to consider moving it to the following Monday, the 26th.
Well, let's have a conversation about that.
Absolutely.
Is it better to be the Monday before everything or the Monday when you've been gone for the weekend?
I won't be here for that meeting, but
Well, that's some
And
interesting.
I've made travel arrangements to make sure I was here for the 19th
For the 19th?
and not the 26th.
I think having it that 19th would be a better situation as well, because we're going to be more fresh and, be able to have a better
full.
conversation. Yeah, exactly.
So, Mike, you're saying if we meet on the 19th, we'll be meeting without you?
yes, ma'am.
Is there a problem with that?
No, ma'am.
Do we
Not
think there's
aware.
any major projects? I mean, this is October. We're not talking about a year.
Yes. I will not be. It's Thanksgiving week. Yeah. I don't see anything on the horizon that would be a big project that would require anything other than ordinary, regular business to take place.
All right.
That could change, but yeah.
First of all, why don't, I guess, let's go ahead and do since we've already started down that path, we'll call them the odd months, starting with next month, November. So do we have a motion to keep it on the third week or to move it to the fourth? I think is what we need here. Correct, for November.
November to the third week?
No, I was asking if we had a motion to.
I'll make the motion to keep it on the 19th.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Catherine, are you okay?
I'm fine with all of that, and the other piece of that is that December was tentative, and so if there was something large impending, we could bump that December up very close to the
I
end
was
of
thinking the same
November.
thing.
And we'd cover all our bases.
And the board can call a special call meeting at any time.
Absolutely,
Sure.
yes.
All right.
So do we want to so what we're talking about, if we meet on the 19th, we meet without Mike, or we don't meet in November and we meet on December 17th is a potential, correct?
That is an option, yes.
And meet on don't have a meeting in November, meet on December 17th with Mike. Can everybody meet on December 7th? Let's talk about November and December at the same
The
time.
December 17th is a regular scheduled meeting, so.
Which is way better than Christmas Eve, right? Which would be the following Monday.
I will be out of town.
On December 17th?
I would think let's just keep our third Monday, with the exception of those two holidays. Are they January, February, where it bumps it to the 4th?
Yep.
And if we have to make an adjustment as we move along, but as a set date, keep the third Monday at 5 o'clock.
And so I think that means that we meet on November 19th without Mike, and then if
Correct.
there's something big that we need to, then we'll meet in December, or if we don't have any reason to meet, then we'll cancel the December meeting. Am I on
Correct.
the same page?
That's how I think it should be, yeah. So I'll move to keep the BEDC meetings on the third Monday of each month, pending any holidays that would require a fourth Monday.
I second.
All right, and just to be clear, is anybody paying attention? Do we need to withdraw a prior motion before we do this? I think we did.
Yes, let's have a motion to withdraw the previous approval for November only.
Make the motion to remove my previous motion.
Second.
Okay, now we can,
Let's all agree on
yeah, so now we can do Catherine's motion.
that. Not Chad, let's agree on the seconded motion first. to withdraw.
Oh, he withdrew his motion, so we didn't need
But we
to,
second it, now we all have to agree to it.
We didn't vote.
we didn't vote on it, so there's nothing. Right,
All
yeah,
right.
Yeah, the movement can withdraw his motion.
right. Okay, so Catherine, you're moving to keep the November meeting on the third month, the third week, which is the 19th, and keep the December date open. Is that correct?
Maintain your normal
I
schedule.
move to set the BEDC meetings for the third Monday of each month at 5 o'clock, with the exception of any holidays in January and February that might postpone it till the 4th.
Which is reflected on page 9 of the packet.
Yep,
That's
got it.
the schedule you're doing.
Right.
And I second.
All right, now we have a motion and a second.
There we go.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, now, 3.5, consideration, discussion, and possible action on, 3.6, so that was 3.5. 3.6, consideration, discussion, and possible action on resolution R-2018-0008, approving the reimbursement to the city of Bastrop for the work order for professional services rendered for Bowman Consulting and preparing a schematic diagram for the remaining portion of Agnes Street across the Nixon and Pecan Park commercial tracks, which was paid by the city of Bastrop in September of 2018 in the amount of $14,000.
Great. So everyone knows that a year ago, this board and EDC entered into a professional service agreement with Bowman to work on the Agnes Street extension, which is the green part of this map, the left green. The green on the right is two other developer extensions that are occurring independently of our project. So what we have is this yellow gap, and how do you connect the two in the future? During a meeting, this was before me, but during a meeting, the city and BDC met with Bowman, and it was decided by the city, and we agreed at the time, we need to have some sort of structure of what this connection is going to look like so that we can dictate, the city can dictate where and how Agnes will continue across these tracks. Otherwise, it'd be kind of, we do it piecemeal when a project and development is coming forward, and we just want to make sure it lines up. There's a couple places in the city where you can see that wasn't planned out very well. We want to avoid that, and this is going to be a very, very important route on the south side of Bastrop. So we want to make sure that we were doing this right. Given that there was an executive director at the time for BEDC, the city went ahead and said, yeah, let's just get this done and get it moving so that it doesn't hold up the rest of Agnes and we can move. So we'll pay the $14,000 with the understanding that BEDC would reimburse the city for those funds. So this resolution does that. It is officially from the board providing that reimbursement to the city so Bowman can create that those drawings for Agnes so that future development will follow the set path set forth by those drawings for Agnes, not the other way around. So we think it's a good idea to do it now and should pay some great dividends in the future.
Okay, my only question is, are we going to need to do a budget amendment for this, or is it in the budget
No, it's
already?
already been completed and accounted for in fiscal year 2018. So this is just making it official.
Excellent.
Do we have to finish the road?
No, it's just the drawings. The development coming in will still build and pay for the road as it's done, unless we decide to incentivize that in the future should a project warrant it. But as of right now, it's simply drawing it so that it sets it in the city's plans.
I guess the only thing I'm a little confused on, you might not have the history of this, but I thought the reason we went to do the current Agnes extension project was because we had to. That there was a reason that we had to do that.
Current Agnes provides access for Seton.
Correct.
That's why we built, and they're paying for that. We're
I'm
paying for
sorry.
half of
I'm
it.
sorry. I was
So
thinking
it's
of-
behind Seton. That's why we did that part
Yeah,
of Agnes.
I was thinking of a different project.
So the
I'm sorry.
yellow is to make sure, honestly, geometrically, we can,
It lines up.
you see where the current one and the.
Yep.
And that's not indicative of what's actually will be drawn, just to give you an idea of what the gap is.
It wasn't supposed to be a straight line, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be
Okay.
straight.
Well, and that's part of the problem. If it could
Yeah.
be a straight line, it wouldn't have been a right-of-way issue,
Right.
but it's already offset, and with the driving speed, with the turning radius, we got to have an idea that the right-of-way will
Is
fit.
this the one where they were talking about whether we should have a circle in there or something?
There was a
Yes.
discussion about,
There are no more discussions, is my understanding of a
Okay.
traffic circle.
All right, I'm with you now.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion?
I move to accept resolution R 2018-0008.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, 3.7, update on staff activities.
Great, and I want to start this one out. It's not in your slides, but we do have another award to provide tonight for Angela. If you'd come up, please. If you don't, Angela this year has her 10th anniversary here with the city of Bastrop. And so we want to recognize her for So thank you, Angela, for 10 great years and hopefully many more. Yes, please.
Okay. I was around before Angela, and she's the greatest thing that ever happened to the EDC, I swear. She has kept us out of so much trouble and from going backwards for so many years, and I'm real proud to be working with her again.
She's been a great help this first month, helping give history to me and keeping us on track. So thank you, Angela. Thank you. All right, moving on. So this is a new PowerPoint you have in your packets. You'll have it every month moving forward so you can understand and get a better idea of what we're doing every month as a staff. And so this will change and evolve as I iron out the details and as you provide feedback of how you want to see things done. But this is the first try at it. So in the month, so we're just going to talk about September for right now. So September 9th through 12th, Jean went on an Opportunity Austin marketing trip. We are members of Opportunity Austin and have been since the start of Opportunity Austin, I believe. And they do marketing trips to 4 major marketing trips to San Francisco, LA, San Diego, Chicago, and New York. So we participate with them on those trips because Austin can pull some pretty good meetings sometimes, and we get to spread the good news of Bastrop to anybody who will meet with us in these areas. So this was San Francisco. There were 34 total meetings that the Austin Chamber was able to schedule during that, with a total of 15 people on the trip. Jean was able to get into 7 meetings, which for reference, 7 meetings is about right for one of these trips. 7 to 8 is what you're going to get. So it's good to see that. When I was at the Austin Chamber, I helped plan these, and I've gone on when I was in San Marcos. They are great trips, and they provide opportunities that we ordinarily wouldn't be able to get. Someone answers the phone in San Francisco and says, Bastrop, where's that? You know, if it's Austin, we have a way to say, and we're with them, we're next door to them, we can leverage them. So it really provides us opportunities that we can't have. Jean also, I think it was Jean, right? You went on this one? To the investors breakfast. So Bobby Epstein with CODA provided the future of CODA and what that means for the region. Just being down the road from us, it's important that we keep an eye on what's going on at Circuit of the Americas. And then there was an update from the Army Futures Command, which we're going to find out, I think, in the next 3 to 5, 10 years is going to be an absolutely phenomenal thing for the Austin region, and something we can certainly take advantage of as it continues to grow and we learn more about. We learn more, but they also figure out more about what's actually going to be at this command. So we're going to try and go to as many things as we possibly can regarding Army Futures and keep you all up to date about what we learn. September 15th to 19th, Shane went to International Asset Management Council in Philadelphia. This is our first time doing this that I'm aware of. It can be great, but it's a relationship building type of conference. And so you can't just go once and get a bunch of value out of it. We have to continue to go meet with these people and help them understand what Bastrop's all about and the opportunities that are here. IMC is full of people who are running buildings and choosing site locations for companies. So there's a lot of great contacts. But again, it takes multiple times to go to really start to get a value. So we'll keep looking at this as an option and evaluate it as we go. If we're just not making any progress or we're just not getting a good ROI, well, then we'll cut it. But for right now, we're going to try it because other EDCs and other EDOs actually around the country have had a great success with IAMC. Other events in September, I know, Mayor, you were there as well, the Bastrop Chamber Luncheon, First Responders, NAI Global Conference. There were 400 plus brokers from around the world in Austin, so it was just a quick day trip out to Austin to go get that. We're going to take advantage of any of those that come to the Austin region. Jean went to that. We attended the Best Breakfast, which was held in Elgin in September. As well as Jean traveled to Atlanta for the International Economic Development Council's annual conference, where she was a speaker actually for our workforce development program that she established here in Bastrop. So she got to tell people from not just the United States, but Canada and others exactly what we're doing, how we're doing it here. So it was really good exposure for Bastrop and in fact, I know this week when we head up to Fort Worth on Wednesday, people are already asking us, Gene, to meet with them to learn more about that. So I think it was a really great opportunity that we can show that we are an authority and somebody that knows what they're doing out there in the economic development world. So really great that we were able to do that. Then also participated in the Texas Downtown Association Regional Round Table. There was also a new director's reception. Most of you came. Thank you. It was from me as well as the new Visit Bastrop director, Susan Smith. There's great turnout. It was a wonderful venue. Thank you to everybody who attended. I remember most of the people that were there, but it was a really great opportunity to do that. So, business recruitment activity matrix, a little thin this first time, but it'll grow, I promise. So this is how we're going to show you our leads that we're getting regarding recruitment of, I didn't do that, recruitment of companies to Bastrop. So you'll see those out-of-region visits is 7. That was our trip to San Francisco. Those were the 7 meetings that we attended this month. Oh, shoot. Guys. Sure. Sources of leads, that top number is going to be all of those below added up, so you can just see quickly how many leads. Coming in, I don't know what a normal month lead generation is, so we're going to establish that with this matrix. So we're going to look at when companies come to us directly. Shoot. Should I quit? Okay. How many direct companies are coming to us and asking themselves, what can I do in Bastrop? Local regional brokers, so from Austin, San Antonio, Dallas. Site consultants, the big guys are doing bigger projects. Site location partnership, we actually have a contract with a company to help establish leads that we haven't taken advantage of really, that we're going to start to use more. So we'll track how many leads we're getting out of them to help understand if we're getting a real value out of that service. And then external leads. So these ones come directly from the Austin Chamber or the state of Texas, the governor's office. So as you can see for September, we had 2 leads from the governor's office and 1 direct company lead. So great. We're going to start concentrating more on marketing and PR as we go forward, and I'd like to see those internal leads increase and be greater than our external leads, so we have a little more control over our destiny, as well as it tells us if our marketing is actually working, if those numbers start to move. So this is kind of the baseline. Prospect follow-up requests, when we do have a hot lead, as we call it, somebody who's really interested in actually coming here, how many times are we interacting with them a month? Are we keeping up with leads? Is it a busy month? Is it a slow month? What are we looking at? Prospect visits, that is pretty self-explanatory. First time and repeats. Repeats are the really important ones. If they're not coming back, you're not going to win it. And then announcements, we'll track that as we go forward. So fiscal year to date is empty for 2018 because we didn't track it all year. So next month, you'll see fiscal 19 year to date, and that will match our October numbers. And then when we get to October next year, we'll actually add in a column and compare month to month, year over year. So you'll be able to see we'll be able to see directly if what we're doing is working a year later. So this is how you're going to see it. We can add things if you want to see different data points, but this is one I've used for many, many years and pretty much encapsulates everything we can capture in a wonderful chart. I'm sure you all will love it.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
On the prospect follow-up request of 27, does it go without saying that means that you've had some sort of interaction back with them, whether it's a phone call or an email?
Generally email, we will count. We're going to do our best to count phone calls. Those are a little harder to track, but emails are pretty easy to count. So generally speaking, those are going to be emails back and forth between a prospect and BEDC.
Okay, thank you.
We're also going to start talking about website
Mike, are
analytics.
the 27 all related to the
3?
3?
No, and in fact, likely not. generally when we get a lead from the governor's office, it'll be at least a month. Like, we might have a week to respond, and then it might be at least a month before we hear anything back, if we hear anything back at all. So my bet is these 27 are probably about 2 to 3 month old projects, and then they either get busier or they die off after 3 months. So these are actually probably who we're talking to that we met about July, August-ish.
So that could be a person that's come to town and, hey, I'm thinking about buying this piece of property, what could I do with it? What makes it be that's considered a prospect follow-up request?
That would be the initial meeting. If someone came in and said, I want to maybe build 50,000 square feet for a distribution center, we count that as one of our meetings, and it would be a direct company internal lead is where it would be counted. And then as the weeks go on, if he starts asking, I want to know what the workforce is, I want to know what general rent is, as we develop that relationship with the person, it has to be an actual project that we're having a dialogue with. Simply stopping by once isn't really a project to us yet. We'll hound them until they say stop, but it's not really a project until we're having a real back and forth with the company about what's possible here.
So does that mean it's 27 different projects, or
No.
one project could have had 4 or 5 emails back and forth?
Correct. It's just
Okay.
an accumulation of all.
So it's interaction, but we shouldn't say, oh, that means there's 27 potential projects.
Correct.
Okay.
It's
Okay, I'm just
to
trying
show
to
you
get a feel
how-
for what am I looking at?
Yeah, I mean, if we start seeing that number creep up to 100, then we have a lot of projects that are active.
Gotcha.
And if it dies down a little bit, then we don't have a lot of active projects. So again, it's gauging how many active projects we have. Website analytics. So we had 722 unique users visit our website in September, 87 new, 13% returning. 31 states, 10 countries, and the top pages visited are the blog, which is great to see that our blog is up at the top of that. That means we can continue to use that to push our marketing and what's going on here in Bastrop. Board meetings, business, industrial park, staff, community history. 43% found the website organically, 37 typed the URL directly, and 12% via social. I want to see that 12% go up. That's the next step, is social media. You can see top states: Texas, Virginia, New York, California, Massachusetts. There's a reason why we go to New York and California. That's it. And then countries: United States, obviously, and then India, France, South Korea, and Canada. None of those really jump out at me as weird. Those are pretty standard companies that look at the United States for business. Social media engagement. Again, we didn't have any in September 2017 is we didn't track it, so we went back and got what we could. And then 2018, Facebook page likes, Twitter followers, and LinkedIn. So we're going to continue to track this and see if we can't boost those things. The more awareness we have, the better chance we have of winning projects. I want to give you 380 agreement updates, and the mayor already mentioned that she'd like to see timeline on this as well, so we'll probably tweak this as we go forward. But right now we have 2 active 380 agreements, Chapter 380 agreements with Buc-ee's and Burleson Crossing. And as you can see, to date, we've paid out almost $510,000 worth of incentives out of a $700,000 incentive agreement with Buc-ee's. So we have $190,000 left to go, and it's going to be paid off well early of the 10-year agreement. So that's why we also want to add in how many years has it been, so we can show that Buc-ee's is really outperforming what we expected them to do. I don't think anybody's shocked by that if you've gone and gotten gas at Buc-ee's. But that just means we're going to start capturing all the sales tax sooner than later. That's a really great thing for the city. Burleson Crossing, too, is tracking ahead of schedule, and so we've paid out about $1.6 million. There's about $900,000 left to go on that. So we'll continue to do this when it makes sense. They're about annual payments. I think if they're quarterly, we'll update it quarterly, but whatever makes sense. I'm not going to show you the same slide every month, but we'll keep you up to date. And that's it for my updates. Any questions?
Just wondering, and this doesn't have to be next month, but maybe in January, like a project list, like an inventory of things you're working on?
I want to be very careful about doing that. Confidentiality in projects is very, very important.
Understand that.
If I can find a way to report projects that are important, that doesn't violate that confidentiality, I'm happy to do that. Even if I can just add everything up for you to give you an idea of what we're looking at. I'm happy to, actually, we have a slide for that didn't make it up there for some reason. There's a pie chart with industries, how many per industry, and total jobs, total square footage. I don't know, I just neglected to put it in this, but I actually have a slide that is an accumulation of everything. But if I can figure out a way to do it to where we don't lose a project because I did that,
I understand.
I'll happily do that.
Sam, maybe like on Seton, if it's already public knowledge,
Yes.
are we on schedule?
Yeah, and
I think that's what he was talking about, right?
Well,
And that I have no problem
That
with,
too,
and
but-
we will add that into this as well.
I know maybe it's something we can go and do an executive session. I don't know
There
if
has to
that's-
be really a reason to enter executive session, not just to give a project update, unfortunately. It
Even
has
on
to be-
confidential projects?
It has to be for a reason to discuss an incentive agreement or something like that for that project. So I can't just go in executive session to give you an update, unfortunately, on active projects. There has to be a reason for it. That's what I'm saying. I'll figure out a way to do that. But like a project like Seton, absolutely, we can provide an update of how they're doing and where they are and where they expected to be.
Yep.
Just so y'all are informed, so as people in the public ask you questions, you'll have an answer. Happy to do that.
Like we were talking before on the industrial park, before you were here, on where are we going with the industrial park? I'm just trying to figure out what are we going to be talking about over the next couple months?
Sure.
Okay.
And I also think there was a couple surprises over the last year. We didn't realize that was an outstanding contract. So specifically things that are public, it would be nice to know there are 6 outstanding contracts. They are all on schedule. One is behind, one should pay out. Just that kind of an overview summary. If it's public information,
There's no problem with reporting that, and absolutely, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Anybody else? I believe we're now at item 4, executive session. It is now 5:36, I believe. And Bastrop EDC Board of Directors will meet in closed executive session pursuant to Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, to discuss the following. Personnel matters, let's see. Yeah, section 551.074, personnel matters. All right, it is 6:07. Bastrop EDC Board of Directors will reconvene into open session to discuss, consider, and/or take any action necessary related to the executive sessions noted herein.
I move to authorize the executive director to have sole discretion on the existing temporary consulting contract and to move that forward.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And now on to item 5. We are adjourned at 6:08.